Hi, my name is Nina Barbero. Today I'm going to be discussing how violence by NFL players off the gridiron affects the revenue of their team. As an example, I'll be using Ray Rice and the Baltimore Ravens. First, let's take a look at the formula for how professional teams generate revenue. Total revenue comes from 5 different sources: ticket sales, broadcasting rights, licensing income, venue-related revenues, and transfers from other teams in the league. The Baltimore Ravens is currently ranked number 2 in the AFC North. Just 2 seasons ago, the team made it to the Super Bowl with Ray Rice, who was then considered one of the top 15 rushers in the NFL. On February 15th, Rice and his then fiancée, Janae Palmer, were both charged with assault after Rice knocked Palmer out in the elevator of an Atlantic City casino. 4 days later, a video was released of Rice dragging her out of the elevator unconscious. Between then and August, Rice received a 2-game suspension. The Ravens stood by him during this time, holding a news conference with him and his current wife and making statements in support of him. On August 28th, the NFL announced a stricter 6-game suspension policy on domestic violence among their players, but on September 8th, TMZ released a video from inside the elevator and the Ravens immediately dropped Rice from their roster. Commissioner Roger Goodell suspended him indefinitely from the league. Currently, Ray Rice is at the end of a lawsuit against the Ravens and the NFL for wrongful termination. Let's take a look at how, if at all, the negative publicity by Ray Rice and the loss of his place on the Ravens roster affected the team's revenue. First, let's look at gate revenue. Of the 4 North American sports leagues, the NFL has the smallest variation in gate revenue. Crowds at football games are usually near capacity. Tickets to a Patriots game don't cost much more than tickets to a Raiders game. Because of the NFL's revenue-sharing policy, home teams only keep 60% of their net gate revenue. The other 40% is evenly distributed among the other 31 teams in the league. Forbes magazine has ranked the Ravens as number 1 for stadium attendance over the past 3 years. In the 2013-14 season, $67 million of the team's $304 million in revenue came from gate receipts. The Baltimore Sun, which interviewed Ravens fans after Ray Rice was cut from the team, found that fans still plan to attend games. However, numbers reported by ESPN show that the average overall attendance at Ravens games, that's at home and away, is at a 5-year low. Last year, the average overall attendance was at 69,126, and this year it is down by 2,345. These numbers may not be entirely related to mixed feelings about Ray Rice. After all, NBC has reported that game attendance has been declining since 2007. Attendance at Ravens home games has gone down by an average of 51 tickets. Assuming a price of $100 a ticket, that's only a hit of $5,100 in gate revenue. So the Rice impact, not so much. The next source of revenue for an NFL team is broadcast revenue. Table 3.3 in the leads text indicates that from 2006 to 2013, every team in the NFL made an average of $184.4 million annually from league-wide broadcasting. Professional football airs on ESPN, CBS, Fox, NBC, and DirecTV, and none of those networks have dropped Ravens games this season. Here's the thing though, television networks only air football games because of a derived demand by sponsors to advertise during games. And while many sponsors spoke up when the elevator video was released, including Anheuser-Busch, which pays the league $200 million a year in sponsorship, none of these sponsors have dropped the NFL or the Ravens. The Ravens had 100 local and national sponsors before the TMZ video was released, and they have held on to each of those sponsors this season. One advertiser reportedly asked that its ad be removed from the first Thursday night game of the season, which featured the Ravens and the Steelers, but no advertisers have actually dropped the NFL or the Ravens. An ESPN poll suggested that 91% of female fans and 92% of male football fans will not change their football viewership because of Ray Rice. In fact, that Thursday night Ravens-Steelers game pulled in more than 20 million viewers. The third source of revenue for an NFL team comes from licensing agreements, which deal with selling paraphernalia. In 2010, the NFL had a licensing revenue of $2.7 billion. Although individual teams can have individual licensing agreements, the NFL does distribute revenue throughout the league to keep teams from competing with each other for licensing. After Ray Rice was dropped from the Ravens roster, the team offered fans with his jersey the chance to exchange it for another Ravens jersey. In the first day that fans were able to trade in jerseys, more than 7,000 people lined up for the exchange. The Ravens have not disclosed the dollar loss from the jersey exchange, but representatives did report that it was a six-figure amount. So as far as paraphernalia goes, the Ravens have lost a mysterious six-figure amount because of the Ray Rice situation. Venue revenue includes revenue made from the stadium minus the sale of tickets. This includes parking, concessions, and special seating. Because the home game attendance hasn't decreased by very much, venue revenue here has not changed by very much either. Naming rights also tie into venue revenue. Last year, the Ravens signed a 10-year, $60 million extension with M&T Bank for the right to name the stadium. This contract was not affected by Ray Rice. The fifth way that a team can make money is through transfers from other teams. This has not been affected for the Ravens. Let's review our revenue formula. Was total revenue affected after the Rice elevator video leaked? Not very much. Average attendance at Ravens games did go down this season, but not in a way that's unusual for the NFL. Several big sponsors spoke up after the Rice video was released, but nobody dropped their sponsorship of the Ravens or the NFL. As far as licensing goes, the Ravens lost what they have only released as a six-figure number in exchanged Rice jerseys. The venue revenue for the Ravens has remained largely unaffected this season, and transfers from other teams in the league have not changed. As a plus, the Ravens have saved Rice's salary for the season, $3.529 million. They have been playing Justin Forsett in his place, and Forsett has been paid a one-year contract of $730,000, which is considerably less than they would have paid Rice to put out a potentially lower output. These savings could change depending on the outcome of Rice's current lawsuit. However, for the time being, Rice has not had a considerable impact on the revenue of the Baltimore Ravens. Thank you.